Hello, welcome to my Hammer Show. In this weekly television show, I basically invite different people from a different walk of life to discuss about different development issues like education, health, development as such, and human rights and so forth. Today I have a new guest, a really high-profile guest from Germany. He is no other than Dr. Martin Kasper. I would like to welcome you myself.
Thank you for inviting me to this morning broadcast.
So it is my pleasure to invite you. And is this your first time in Nepal?
No, this is my third visit to Nepal over the last couple of years. And I'm going to come here on a regular basis because we are really investing and interested into helping the rural people gain education, gain access to education.
Oh, I see. You have been here for a third time. This is your third time.
This is my third time now. And this time I'm only spending a few days in Kathmandu to discuss with our project partners about the progress in the work we are doing.
How many villages or which part did you visit before?
Our work is up in the mountains near Bamti Banda in the Ramechhap district. And we are supporting the education in this entire region in about 40 different schools for about 6,000 students in that area. It's not such a densely populated area, you know, it's roughly between Kathmandu and Mount Everest, between 1,500 and 4,000 meters of elevation, sparsely populated, but very proud people from different backgrounds.
I have heard that you were a successful businessman. But actually now you're involved in social work and education sector you're working with. Could you tell me a little bit about your background that, you know?
By profession, I'm an engineer and have both master degrees in engineering and business. And I was very lucky in being able to pursue an industrial career in Germany. You know, Germany is the country of the machines, of automobiles, of technical inventions. So I was in the heart of that industry, responsible for developing new machinery, producing it in a couple of market-leading companies in the investment goods field. And later on I was a managing partner in one of the leading consultancies of the world, Accenture, that is helping companies to improve and develop to their optimal goals. And so this is my background, that I've had a very successful business career. But at the age of 48, I decided I would invest my capital, my time, my energy, my connections, my network for children that do not have proper access to education.
I see. So my question is, what really encouraged you, or what really, hurted you to involve in the, children or in the education sector actually?
A very good question. I've been traveling a lot during my life. I've visited many different countries, and usually when I was traveling I did not go to the touristy centers, but I went off the beaten track and got to know the real life in the villages and in the rural areas in countries like Nepal and India and the Philippines or Mexico and Northern Africa and Latin America, so many different places of the world. And all around the world I have found a lot of hospitality, people that were engaging in a very friendly manner, that invited us for tea or supper. And at the same time I was able to observe that children cannot build self-sustained and proper life for themselves just because they're born in the wrong place. They may not be able to learn how to read and write just because they are born in a remote village and don't have access to school. They may not get a proper job, not because they're less intelligent or less diligent, but because the infrastructure isn't there. And so my wife and I decided, as we have the means, that we would try to help those deprived children as much as we can. And we started to do this in northeast India, in areas like Assam and Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur. But since I've also moved to Bangladesh, Myanmar and Nepal.
So that means you focused in more of a let's say Asia.
South Asia.
South Asia, right?
Yeah,
in South Asia,
yeah.
but Myanmar, and this is
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
yeah,
Asia
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah.
But what actually, as you said, you have worked in India and this part of the world, and you have also visited. Could you just tell me the status of education in that part, like India? You said Laos and Myanmar as well.
Over the last 15 years, um, the rate of students that start to attend school has increased. Official statistics from the United Nations say that that number has decreased from, let's say, about 150 million 10 years back to, let's say, 60, 70 million today. So the Millennium Goals have really made a major impact and improvement here. The same is true for these mountains in Nepal, in the Ramachap district. When my predecessor, Dr. Limberg, started there, almost no child attended any school. And today, I would guess 85–90% of the children start school there at the right age, and most of them complete at least 5 years. The big problem is that many of these schools do not succeed in teaching these children properly. So you find official statistics and official test results that about half the Indian students of class 6 cannot read a class 2 text. More than half in class 6 cannot do division. That tells you that the teachers have not been very successful. So the focus in these areas today needs to be to help those government schools to improve, and that is basically helping the teachers to get the right training and to motivate them to give their best in education.
You are good at talking about the statistics. In Nepal also we have a kind of different statistics that actually children from different indigenous community, when they first go to the school, at home they speak their own mother tongue, but in the school they are providing education in English or in Nepali. So that many students, they are feeling very difficult to get the education at the first hand. Even at the between, they are facing a lot of difficulties because of language. So that they leave education in between, right? Do you have this sort of informations, or are you investing a kind of investment or supporting to this sort of children also?
We are aware of this high rate of dropouts, and in fact, one of our key projects is to give a second chance, to offer a second chance to youth 13, 15, 20 years old that have not gone to primary school or have dropped out early. And in evening schools, we offer them the opportunity to complete their basic education, to learn to read and to write and do arithmetic, but also learn a lot for their daily lives. I mean, they are encouraged to get their birth certificates. They are supported in starting a bank account. They learn a lot for survival in the villages, writing a letter, compiling an application, commenting on political developments. And it's really encouraging to see how these youngsters develop over a 2, 3, 4 year period. From very shy people from the villages, later you see them on stage presenting themselves in a very self-confident manner.
I want to talk a little bit about your organization as well, that you are working with, working in India and many parts of Asian countries. Could you tell me a little bit about your own organizations?
Childaid Network focuses on providing access to education to young people who cannot go to school or are left behind. And we do this in preschools, we do this for primary school education, but we also reach out to vocational training. And we consider our services as supplementary to what the government offers. So we do not operate normal primary schools, we do not do mainstream business, but we try to catalytically support transformation of the system, in the sense that we help to develop the structures that bring education to the people. And we do this with local partners. We have contracts There's strong partner organizations on the ground that implement these ideas and visions. We accompany them, motivate them, provide some funds, provide some expertise. And we do this, as I said before, mostly in rural areas in South Asia, in the mountains, foothills of the Himalayas mostly, in some areas in northern Bangladesh and western Assam also. Areas which are, like Nepal, multicultural with many indigenous people. So the people we reach are the minorities, are the handicapped, are the street children. In many cases we provide them with bridge courses so they get access to normal education afterwards.
So in regards to vocational training that you were sharing me in our off record, that in India you are training thousands of youngsters, right? So can we just replicate that sort of relation from India to Nepal, or what kinds of vocational training you have been providing in India? Could you tell me a little bit about this?
The Indian situation is interesting because people who have completed an education relatively easily find a job. Nepal may be a little different in that sense, but even here we observe that young people migrate from the hills to the cities or even to other countries because they do not have a proper educational background, because they do not have a proper vocational training. They cannot earn their money up in the mountains. And in Assam, we train about 3,000 youngsters every year in about 20 different professions, tailors and weavers, two-wheeler mechanics and electricians, welders, or hospitality people. And most of them just require a short-term training, sort of 3 months training, and then they can earn money to support their families. And that is very successful. And we also encourage entrepreneurs to take a small loan from us, call it a microcredit, and this will help them to expand their business a little faster than they could with their own sources. But then they promise to us that they will also train and employ other young people, thus expanding the job market for them in the rural areas. And that is quite successful, and there's lots of work to do. You just have to train the people to do a proper job.
So you clearly said that Nepal has a different context. Maybe they need, Nepalese youngsters need different vocational training, but do you have any plan to work in this vocational training in Nepal as well?
Our idea is that we are employing an agency, a partner organization here. They will do a market study of what is in need, where there is a shortage of people with some special training, some special skills, some special talents. And based on the results of this study, we will then offer decentralized training workshops so that girls and boys who are not employed so far can learn what they want and then later on remain in the area and earn a decent income.
From your conversation, it seems that education is very important for, for a decent life as well. In Nepal, government also has invested, big amount of money for the education, but then the output is very, poor, right? So I guess you have, could you tell me a little bit, education system in Germany or in Switzerland, I guess, they provide a kind of vocational training together with theoretical knowledge from the beginning, from a primary level or that sort of things. I have heard, but you have an idea. So can we just, accommodate this sort of vocational training in school level educations so that youngsters can be, more employed? Or could you just, give what is your thought on it?
All children in Germany are required to go to school from the age of 6 to the age of 18. And of course, in Germany, like in all countries, these students will have different talents. So there are some that will pursue an academic career, but that is not made for everyone. Those who are more interested in sort of vocational jobs, they, around the age of 16 at the latest, they start what is called practical training. And they will, some weeks they will go to school to learn the theory, and some weeks they will actually learn the practical things in a company with an employer. And we call this the dual system. And the companies closely cooperate with those schools, with those vocational schools. And there is a government agency that supervises the process and issues the certificates. And that is quite unique to Germany. You don't find this system around the world, but we have tried to, in our work, in our projects, we have tried to implement that, because it's great to combine the theoretical knowledge and the scientific insight with the practical training. So my girls, who are 15 and 17, they have just done a few weeks of sort of exposure to companies they selected themselves, and in order to sort of get an insight into work life, and in order to better understand what they like, and better also understand the working life. So even at this young age, they got a lot of insight, and that is quite fruitful.
It is good indeed that you have been investing for the children or going to the schools. My experience is that Dr. Walter Limbach, as you mentioned, that your predecessor, who was working in the Vendar, Raimatab district, and he also used to help to the students in higher studies as well when they pass in SLC, and he used to provide scholarship for the higher education in Nepal as well as in abroad. I don't know, abroad also I have heard it. Do you have that sort of plans, and have you been supporting for the higher studies as well, or only in primary sector educations, or?
Well, we are continuing the work of Dr. Walter and his team in Ramachap, but we try to lift it up to an even more professional level. And what we presently do is we sponsor health camps. There was a general health camp done a couple of months back, which sort of did an assessment also of the health situation of the people in the rural area. And we'll do specialized ones for dental and for children over the next few months, in order to see what is required, what is lacking. Of course, compared with the situation 30 years back, there are now a few hospitals in the area. There are regular government health posts. There is a sort of basic supply of medicines by the Nepalese government. And so we have to analyze in detail what is lacking, and how we can stimulate local experts and local schemes to provide and to fill those gaps. Okay. Yes, we also give scholarships to individuals, but our main goal is to strengthen the system such that within Nepal, in this case, the people who have the talent and who have the skills can get the proper education. And there's enough, as you said, there's enough money around. There's Nepalese organizations are also interested in developing those skills, but sometimes we can help as catalytical support to accelerate certain developments.
So in 2015 we had a big earthquake, massive earthquake in Nepal. Even Ramechhap or Dolakha, the area that you are working with, were destroyed,
Yes.
by the earthquake.
Yes.
And I heard that you are also involved in some sort of, reconstruction works in a schools or hospital or that.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Reconstruction
that
work?
was a major disaster, of course, and there was a lot of solidarity in Germany. For example, students in German schools, 40 different schools, 25 students collected money, and then we went to the German government and got extra input from what is called the BMZ. They sort of quadrupled what we had collected. And with that money, we are now completing 9 different schools up in the Ramachhap district in the hills. Modern schools, earthquake safe, lots of light, rooms that are adjusted to modern educational methods also, like multi-grade, multi-level or Montessori, and some of them equipped with computers and nice playgrounds outside. So these are being completed right now, and we are very proud that together with local engineers and local construction companies and a local team, this has been successfully implemented. It took 2 years now, but I think we are still among the front runners. Many others haven't really started yet.
So we have talked so many things, your experiences and your works. And at last, I don't have any questions, but do you have something to aid in your work and your involvement in education and children's sector?
Re-emphasize how important education is. There are studies that demonstrate that 1 extra year of primary school education extends the life of a young woman by 2 to 3 years. That any extra year of primary school education will halve the mortality of her children. That extra year of primary school will also probably increase her life income by 30%. So education is a very good investment, and I want to encourage everyone to do the best to send their children to school and open access to them for a better life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin Kasper, for your time, valuable time. I have come to the end of the show. If you have any queries, you can reach me at indigenoustelevision@gmail.com. If you have any feedbacks or queries, I will come with a new guest next week. Then till then, goodbye.